Alright, this is going to be some thoughts on this DVD I borrowed from my friend at this ECW event, Wrestlepalooza 1997. Of course, the original ECW. What a promotion, eh? They were groundbreaking at the time. It was great stuff, for the most part. But I have to say that this event is one that has some memorable stuff. Don't get me wrong; it has some very memorable angles and that. But as far as the matches go, it's not mind blowing, and the first hour of it is a bit poor, I think. Starts off with Rick Rude coming to the ring, doing a bit of a promo with Joey Styles, and that's all quite funny. Of Rick Rude trying to get Joey Styles to do the kind of hip swivel and stuff. And then it's Shane Douglas versus Chris Chetty. Um, Shane Douglas just cuts a real long promo about something or other. I don't know. I wasn't a big Shane Douglas fan, to be honest. I know a lot of people view him as the MVP of ECW, and of course he has done some legendary promos, like the time he threw down the NWA belt and Extreme Championship Wrestling was born. But I don't know. There's just something about him that kind of just didn't really spark with me, if you know what I mean. I mean, he is a fairly good wrestler, and of course he has done some promos which are good, but he's just a bit formulaic, you know. It's kind of like how used to feel about Jeff Jarrett, and how I sometimes feel about Triple H. I see him in that kind of category of people. But it was him and Chris Chetty in the opener. It wasn't a bad opener. Chris Chetty seemed to have a lot of potential. I believe, was it him that was Taz's cousin that graduated from his school or something? His dojo? Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of potential. Was bringing it with drop kicks and arm drags and that. But Shane Douglas ended up winning with the belly to belly and not that long amount of time. And yeah, that was okay, I guess, for an opener. Nothing outstanding. And then it's the FBI, Full Blooded Italians versus the Pitbulls. Never really dig the Pitbulls much either, but they did some kind of good power moves and stuff. And the FBI comprised of Tracy Smothers and Little Guido, otherwise known as Nuncio. And I thought they had a lot of character. I often enjoyed what I've seen of them from ECW. It's weird to think that Tracy Smothers was in that tag team in WCW in the early 90s. Was it the Young Pistols or something? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, just another bit of a throwaway match, really. Nothing great. And then it was the Dudleys versus the Sandman and Balls Mahoney, and this took fucking ages to get to it. You know, the Dudleys and ECW were really good at getting heat and stuff. And you know, they had the whole entourage of Joel Gertner and Sign Guy and Big Dick Dudley. He was a monster. But yeah, I just found it a bit boring, to be honest. Maybe it's because I've gone off of them in recent years from seeing them in TNA. But I just found their whole heat getting promo stuff and starting on fans to be a bit boring when watching it this time. And yeah, so it came to the match, and I liked the Sandman and Balls Mahoney. It was kind of alright, kind of a bit of a wild brawl around the crowd and that, but it was so fucking sloppy. The Sandman was pissed off his head blatantly. Some of the drop kicks he tried were just hilarious. But yeah, the Dudleys won it somehow. Can't really remember. It was a bit boring, and these first three matches and all the promos took up a fucking hour, and this event was 2.5 hours. And it's oh god. Yeah. And it's slightly improved with Terry Funk versus Chris Candido. Chris Candido came in wearing tights similar to Terry Funk and kind of stumbled around a bit like he would. And this was quite good stuff. A little bit, I don't know, a little bit sloppy, but still pretty good. There was some mat wrestling to start off with, then it came into some brawls and that. And Chris Candido was like trying to put Funk away with loads of neck breakers and pile drivers on the tables, which often fucked up a bit, you know. But it was quite good, I guess. You know, it showed a bit of a story in that. And it's just always good to see Terry Funk in the ring, I think. And Chris Candido was a hell of a talent. But yeah, Terry Funk ended up winning with a kind of like real sloppy kind of crucifix kind of roll thing. Yeah, wasn't great. And then there's some shit with Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas was on this a hell of a lot. Then it was the match of the night, undoubtedly. Classic loser leaves town match between Raven and Tommy Dreamer. I think most people will know that this was Raven's last match before leaving WCW for a year and then coming back again. And this is the one where Tommy finally pins Raven. And this is great, kind of wild brawl through the crowd. And yeah, it's just good stuff, basically. The amount of DDTs in this match, I think if you're going to have a drinking game, you'd be like pretty knocked out by the end of this match. It's good stuff. But yeah, this is memorable for two reasons. Tommy Dreamer finally gets a win over Raven, then the lights go out. It's Rob Van Dam, he's attacking everyone. The lights go out, Sabu, and the lights go out. Jerry the King Lawler. Oh yes, I remember hearing about this back in the day and thinking, oh my god, what a despicable heel. I never actually got to see ECW a lot of when it was on, but I used to like ring up Power Slam Hotline and hear the stories about it, and it was one of these things that I just wanted to watch. And yeah, that is great stuff. Jerry Lawler gets good heat. And they're just taking out everyone, and then the gangsters come in, and they get taken out. But then it ends up being Taz, and Taz just takes everyone out, and he's trying to call out Sabu for ages, and eventually their match starts up. And they have a pretty good match, not really as good as the one they had at Barely Legal, but still fairly good anyway. A lot of reversals, but Sabu actually manages to pick up the win. And Taz refuses to leave the ring, and he's like calls out Shane Douglas, who's like on the balcony, and they have a good exchange of promos. I thought this was a good lot of promos, and was the kind of best in-ring talking of the night, because there was a hell of a lot of fucking talking on this. And basically Taz called out Shane to do a thing like, if I can't make you tap out in 3 minutes, then I'll leave the company for like 90 days. And obviously, he made Shane tap out, and like he put the ECW title on the line and got that television title, I mean. And this is what I liked about ECW back in the day. Their television title meant as much as their world title. Rob Van Dam's reign had a mad reign and like pretty much headlined a lot of pay-per-views back then. It was good stuff. And the main event, which is to do with like what happened earlier with the Dudleys beating Sandman and Balls Mahoney, was the Dudleys versus the Eliminators. Perry Saturn was injured. John Kronos said no, not giving up without a fight. And yeah, it was just basically a bit of a handicap match for a while, until like at the end, Perry Saturn in the best thing of the match, the only thing that got a reaction, because I thought the crowd was pretty dead for this match, to be honest, and that's saying something for like ECW arena crowd. Perry Saturn climbed up with a leg cast onto the ropes and like elbow smashed one of the Dudleys and won the match. It was a bit of an anticlimax main event, but yeah, still a good high note, I guess. And yeah, that's Wrestlepalooza 97. Certainly not the best ECW show I've ever watched, but has some memorable moments and has some good moments too. Yeah, I wouldn't totally recommend it, but I'd recommend watching some of these angles on YouTube. Definitely the Raven and Tommy Dreamer match. And I've gone on for so long about this. Cheers.